Avi, you might want to stick around for tonight's stuff. It might interest you, at least on Aleph.
Okay, I'll do it.
Ramon, you must do that.
Yeah.
We gotta mute him though. First Avi, that's all you gotta do.
You gotta double mute me. Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so we left off approximately 10 lines down from the top. I think that's what we got up to. No, we're up to Rava. Yeah, around 10 lines in. So, so we left off where we had a stira. He hit record, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we left off where we had a stira in the Mishna, right? So I'm sorry, not the Mishna, the braysos. One braysos says that the what do you call it? We had one brayso that says that if he makes a tnai that his wife doesn't have nedarim, and then his wife has nedarim, but she goes to the Rav, and the Rav matters the nedarim, so it's as if he swipes it clean. So then it's still then they stay married. And the other brayso says they don't stay married, right? So Rava says, so what's the difference between the two braysos? So Rava Amar, you see it is around 10 lines down, first words on the line. Rava Amar, the second brayso that says that the marriage is not a marriage, even if she's matter the neder, is talking about a woman who's chashuv. The Amar that the man says, I don't want to be married to this woman because she made a neder. And if I'm going to be married to her and then I'm going to decide to divorce her, now I'm usher to all her relatives, and then all her relatives are from a chashuv family, right? So since they're from a chashuv family, I want to have the option to marry them. And if I'm going to be married to her and then divorce her, I'm going to be out from them. So therefore, he would rather not get married to her. So therefore the marriage is not a marriage. That's the way Rava looks at the brayso, why it's no good. So if that's the case, to say for the Gatani Avahu Shahalach Eitzel Chacham V'Tiru, what about from the man's perspective? Let's say she gets married to him and she says to him, I want to make sure you're neder free and I want to make sure you're mum free. And he says, yeah, sure I am. And then they get married and then she sees that he has nedarim and he has a mum. Avahu Shahalach Eitzel Chacham V'Tiru. If he went to a Chacham and the Chacham mattered him, Eitzel Roife V'Ripa. So he went to a doctor and the doctor healed him. Mekudeshes, then the marriage is an automatic marriage, right? So again, it's the double standard. By the woman, it's not a marriage. If she goes and gets her nedarim fixed, or she gets her physical whatever problems are fixed, it's not a marriage. But by a man, it will be a marriage. So listen, mekudeshes. Why don't you say that she's not mekudeshes? The lema. We're talking about where she married into a man who's from a chashuv family. The Amra, where she says, it's a bekrive. I don't want to become usher to his relatives. So even though he took care of his problems, but I'm afraid that I want to be able to marry into his family. Right? So why can't you just say that? So the Gemara says you can't say that. Because a woman's never going to say that she'd rather have the option to stay married, to not marry him because she wants the option to marry others. Right? Why? Because a woman says that it's better to have two bodies than to live alone. That's a literal, or to live like an almana. Armalu is Aramaic. This is an Aramaic sentence. Better to live with two than to live alone. Meaning a woman would rather any living thing to live with, I'm not saying living thing, but a human to live with, as opposed to be living by herself. So therefore, she's never going to say, I don't want to marry this man, so I have my options to marry the siblings. Because she'll marry him. She'll marry him with the mum, without the mum. So I think we mentioned this before, that I saw for Rav Nebenzahl that he says that this rule does not apply anymore now. And nowadays it seems like women are not going to just be happy living with just anybody. Fine. Then the Gemara says a few other phrases that are similar to this. Abaya Omar.
Meaning they'd rather be single?
Yeah, you see them.
Nowadays they'd rather be single than be married to someone they don't want to be.
Wouldn't there? I mean,
you see that all the time, unfortunately.
Don't we see all these older singles? It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. I'm not saying that they should marry, they should marry anybody, but most of them have the opportunity to theoretically marry somebody, and they don't. Right. So that's what I think Rav Nebenzahl meant. That's what I understood as. Yeah. So.
Yaakov, excuse me. Can you say again where we're holding?
We're 4 wide lines up on Ayin Hey Amud Aleph. 4 lines up from the wide lines. Ayin Hey Amud Aleph.
Okay.
Yeah, so Abaya Amar, and he says a similar thing. The Shumshana Gabra, if a woman's husband is the size of an ant, the Shumshana is an ant, right? Meaning he's so short that he's like an ant. Karse Becharasa Ramila. She could still put her chair by the other people, right? Meaning the women, when they sit around in this circle schmoozing, right? So if she's not married, she can't be part of that circle. So now that she married somebody, even if that guy is the size of an ant, and which means that it's not going to be the greatest marriage in the world, still she could sit in the circle with the other women, right? So she'd rather be married to anything. Rav Papa Amar. The nafsa gavra, if the man is a wool comber, right? That's what he does, which is not the most high level job in the world. She'll still call him to the door, and she'll sit with him, right? Meaning, even though the guy has a low job, she's still very happy to sit with him because at least she feels like, oh, I have a husband. Rav Ashi Amar, the Kolsa Gavra, if a man has Kolsa, if he has a bad yichus, loy boy talpeche lekidra. So she's not even gonna ask for beans for her pots, right? Meaning beans is cheap food. So if even a husband who doesn't have a good yichus, she's married to him, she's not even going to pressure him to do anything because she doesn't want to lose him. That's what I understand. Meaning, so these are 3 phrases of how desperate women are to be married, right? So Tana, but then the Gemara finishes off with an interesting line here. V'kulan mezana is the toilet of balei. All of them, they're going to be mezana, and they're going to say that it's their husband's kids. Right? Meaning, the way Rashi explains this is that the reason is because the reason why they're married is to hide their znus. So basically, since all they're doing is hiding their znus, is the reason why they're having these husbands is to hide their znus, right? And Rashi says the reason why they can tolerate having these husbands is because they're promiscuous anyways. So what do they care who their husband is? Right? I don't know. Okay, whatever. I don't know if I'm even Yovin. I don't know. I don't understand Pshat in that Gemara, but fine. Kol mumin shepoislin. So any mum that's possible by a kohen, the Mishna says, is also possible by a wife. So now the Gemara is going to add on a bunch of different mumin that women have, right? That could be a problem that may not necessarily be a problem for kohen. So Tana Isifu Alein, they added on a bunch of mumin that they don't have a kayana, which is Zaya, if the woman sweats a lot, right? Which Rashi says she sweats tamid, she's constantly sweating. The shuma, and shuma is if she has a mole, right? V'reya chapeh, and bad breath. So we're gonna have to see what all this means. So Gemara asks first, these things won't make a kohen puzzle for the avodah, but nan hazakein. If they have an old animal, a chayla, or a sick animal, a mazum, or an animal that smells, I'm not exactly sure what the animal smelled like back then. Anybody ever have a good smelling animal? So it must be a really bad smelling animal. Either way, an animal that's any of these 3, Betnan mumen elu bein kvu and bein ovin. These mumen apply whether they're set, meaning they're permanent. Bein ovin, whether they're just temporary. So psulin ba'adam, and they're going to also make a kohen puzzle too. So what does that say? That a kohen who smells is also going to be puzzle. So why are you saying that only a wife who smells, who sweats, is going to be puzzle to a marriage, meaning it's grounds for divorce, even for a kohen? So the braysos is talking about a zayah that goes away, right? So that is going to be a problem for marriage. But the Mishna about the animals is talking about where it doesn't go away. So therefore, that's gonna even passel a kohen. So if it's temporary, it's not passel a kohen, but it will passel a wife. If it's permanent, then it's gonna even be passel even for a kohen. Rav Ashi says it's not a kasha. Zeya mezuam karamas. You're asking from sweat to zuama, right? Zuama is a lot worse. Hasam gabi kahanim efshala aver b'kiyuah dechamra. But kehanim, it's not a problem because what do? You take a kiyuah dechamra, means some sort of wine vinegar, right? And that will sort of act like a deodorant. It's deodorant or like what do you call it? A room freshener or whatever it is that will make him smell good temporarily. And also from bad breath. He could take pepper. Pepper takes away bad breath, and he could do the avodah. So therefore, he could use these band-aids, these temporary band-aids, to get rid of the smell while he does the avodah. By a woman, she can't have pepper in her mouth the whole day. Right? And she can't always keep whatever these things are, this vinegar, this wine vinegar on her the whole time. So therefore that's grounds for divorce. So I wonder if the mitzias nowadays can that change? Right? So let's say she has a sweating issue. So maybe they can get I don't know, there's surgeries you can get to stop sweating. Right, and there's also you don't have to have pepper, but you could have mint all day, right? So I don't know if these things would still apply nowadays. Yeah, fine. Hi Shuma, what about the mole? Hey Chidami, what's the case of the mole? Idis Baseya, if this hair growing out of the mole, which from what I understand, most moles do grow hair. So then they're both puzzle for the kohen and the wife. And if there's no hair, if it's a very large mole, they're both puzzle. And if it's a small hole, if it's small, it's not going to make her puzzle. It's not going to make the wife consider having a mum. Mole that has a hair, I raise a mum. That's a mum. Ain't baser. If there's no hair in it, gedola raise a mum. If it's a large mole, there's a mum. Ketana ain't a mum. Ketana, there's no mum. Bezi gedola, and what is considered a gedola? Peter Rav Shimon Gamliel, ad ki isra talti. It's the size of an isra talti. Right? I'm not sure exactly what size that is. Like a penny size, I think. Yeah. So again, what type of mole are we talking about? We're talking about a mole that's on her forehead. So the Gemara says, "Pedafta." You're saying that it's a mole on her forehead. Rav and if he sees the mole when they're on dates, so he sees this mole on her forehead. He sees it; it doesn't bother him. So great. So he decided to marry her. So how can he?
Maybe she's an Indian Jew, no?
Oh yeah, right? Right. Maybe she's maybe she's an Indian Jew, right? So Amara Papa by Mendes Latachas Kipa Shal Roisha, where it's under her hat, right? The Zimnin, the Mischazi, the Zimnin, the Lemeschazi. Sometimes he sees it, sometimes he doesn't see it. So
Depends what type of shaitel she's wearing.
I didn't want to go down that road.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I mean, I did want to go down that road, but yeah, it sounds like.
Does he see it, or is it sometimes it's not visible?
What do you mean?
I'm trying to figure out, did he ever see this before they got married?
Right, that's the question. Did he see it or did he not see it? So sometimes, so it could very well be that he didn't see it. And once he sees it, when they're married, right, when she covers it on the dates, right? And then when she gets married, then she uncovers it and now he's stuck. So that's what we're saying. That would be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe this is something you'd ask her Parfinis.
yeah.
The Satma, after the chuppah, they shave her head, and she has all these things on her head. He never saw it. Nobody ever saw it.
Right, I wonder. Yeah. But okay, maybe they're not supposed to see it. I don't know. Didn't we say bald is a mum anyways? Didn't we say that a few blocks ago?
Yeah, but I'm saying that's what I'm saying. You have to ask for Parfinis. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It's that somebody once asked me, a boy, he had a huge mole on his body. I'm talking about, like, he showed it to me. I don't know, he showed it to me. We're talking about like the size of a softball. And it grew hair out of it. And he was embarrassed. He wanted to know if he could shave the hair. Right? Because it was, I guess, in the summer, I think it was in camp. Right? So yes, he can. Right? So because yeah, fine. So Amar Rav Chisda, Hamilsa Megavra Rabba Shmueli. So I heard this from Megavra Rabba. Umanu Rav Shila. It was Rav Shila, right? So I guess they had Sionim back then, right? Isn't that anytime you want to quote a big gadol, you just say a big gadol said, it means somebody's a Sioni or YU or something, right? So I guess he was, Chas v'shalom, should have made Lutzanas. Either way. So it was from a Gavra Rabba, and his name was Rav Shila. I don't know why he needed the Hakdama that he was a Gavra Rabba. Right? If one thing, he didn't say his name, but he said his name. Either way,
because he was the Tzioni.
That's sort of what I was saying. It must be.
Right.
Right. So Nosh, or he saw it on the internet or something. Yeah. So Noshcha Kelev and Nasa Mekoyim Tzalekes. Let's say a dog, she got bit by a dog, and then there was a tzalekes. A tzalekes is like a scar. A reza mum, that's considered a mum. Right. Now, again, there's something we have to figure out here. Are we talking about in the parts of the body that are revealed or not revealed, right? Because we already had this before, that the man can be embarrassed from things that people see, but he may not be embarrassed from things on the woman's body that people can't see, right? So I don't know if that applies here also. Fine. So the call of the Isha. What are you saying?
When you said so, she has a cesarean, and then
right, exactly.
She never had a scar in her life.
Right, so that happens after they're married. So then, that's he could decide to divorce her, but he has to give her the ksuba then. Here we're talking about where he just wants to.
Okay, fine.
He doesn't want to give the ksuba, right?
Fine.
Yeah. So the call of a isha hareza mum. A thick voice by a woman is considered a mum. Shenemar ki koilech orev umarech novel. Right, that's in Shir Hashirim, that the woman's voice is supposed to be sweet, and her looks are supposed to be.
Isn't that a song of the Daf?
So how did I have?
Very good.
How did I have Ben Sarah Myra? If she has the same voice as her husband, he's supposed to divorce her.
I hear. Maybe that's why that have been Sarah Myra. I don't know. Anyways, okay, right. The next Gemara, I don't know. Like I say, either there's something totally different about our society nowadays, and we got so much frumer. Because if anybody came to any rabbi's house nowadays and starts discussing this next subject, there's not a rabbi in the world that won't throw him out of the house on his head and tell him he's a meshuggah, right? But yet the Gemara spends a good bunch of lines discussing this. Fine.
The question is why.
The question is why, you're saying?
Yeah, but we'll get there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. So Tani Rav Nosson Bira, Bein Dade Isha Tefach, between the breasts of a woman should be a tefach. So Rav Acha Brei the Rabba Kamei the Rav Ashi L'Meimar. So Rav Acha thought to say tefach l'mal yusa, that a space of a tefach would be better, right? That they should be separated by a tefach. Amar Le Rav Ashi Kabi Mumin Tani. We learned it in a brayso about Mumin. So therefore, a tefach between her breasts is considered a mum, and it's grounds for divorce. The kama, right? So how much is considered the right amount to be in between? Amar Abaye shalosh etzba'os, 3 fingers. 3 fingers is the right amount. Now I'm not. How is one supposed to figure this out while he's dating?
Was there an official measurer? Who got that job?
That's what it sounds like. Like the fundraisers they could
The
send
fan
out.
notes, Yaakov. The boys.
David, it's a
check her
rough
out.
job, but somebody's got to do it.
Was there a lottery? Was there a lottery for that one?
I
How
don't
did
know.
they
I think
who got the job?
I have
Didn't
no
we
idea.
have the Gemara, Yaakov, that we sent?
Yeah,
out?
parrots. We're actually parrots. Very good. We're having it on the base.
I don't know. I
You know
think
what they-
pictures are pretty good now.
Yeah, that's right. The picture. Imagine and how they're very good enough.
Yeah, where's Aaron Kaplan when we need him?
What did he say?
He said
Pictures,
pictures.
pictures.
The pictures for the dating,
Oh,
right? Then they're going to create apps that can make a measurement. You take a picture of them and they can shots it up. I don't know. I don't want to make this
like a Bisker issue.
the guy
Yeah.
lends the girl his mirror from his tefillin on the day.
That's very good. So, anyways, I don't know. And then you have machlokes shalosh etzba'os. How much is that?
I'll definitely come out with the kosher measurement. The kosher.
Yeah. No, but the point is, I'm saying, imagine a guy comes in and says, I want to divorce my wife because there's less than 3 fingers in between. I'm saying, what rabbi is not going to throw it out on the head? And the Gemara here is saying, I'm saying Abaya is saying.
Clearly, a Matthias
proper
has
measure-
changed.
This is a
Matthias
moon.
has changed or something like
That
that.
is my point. That is my point. That are we totally off the charts with our frumkeit? That's sort of where I'm headed to. I have no idea. I'm just.
Yaakov, I'm gonna
You're saying we
send
should
out-
have a
I'm gonna
tie now?
send
You're
out-
saying we should have a tie nowadays?
Yaakov, seriously, I mean, the time of the Gemara, every lady breastfed, right? Obviously.
Correct.
So maybe there's a chiluk there. Maybe.
It could be. Maybe.
And where's the Gemara that it measures the man, the size of a man?
Okay? Maybe. I don't know.
No equality in the Gemara. There's no equality
Right.
in
Right.
the
You're
religion.
saying
Yeah,
you're saying we should have a tie nowadays?
I'm just saying this is a Gemara here. Can you imagine having
Now,
a
Charlie,
share
imagine in
about
Lakewood
this?
they have those charts for the payas, where it is with red. That's what they're gonna have up in BMG.
You want a packed crowd for the Shavuos year? Give that next year Shavuos.
Yeah, listen, that Lakewood had a schmooze last year about place shapers was a big chiddush, right? But anyways, okay, so that's it. Tanya, Rabbi Nosson Oimer, Kol Isha Shedadea Gasan Mishel Chavresel, any woman whose breasts are bigger than her friends, Harei Zeh mum, that's also considered a mum. The Kama, Zamar Ramiyasha Babreid Rav Shuban Levish, Med Rav Shuban Levi Tefach. It's a tefach bigger than her friends. Again, I have no idea what this means. I think there's 2 pshat, and Rashi says it's a tefach bigger than the friends, and meaning friends means other women. And I think others, Rishonim, could be the Rambam, says that it means that if one breast is a tefach larger than the other, that would be a mum. Which that you could hear a little bit. That pshat makes. I'm not saying what makes more sense, what makes less sense.
Well,
but
one second. When is this moon being found, and how is it affecting the marriage? After
he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it.
So what? It's life.
Gemara's
A lot of
telling you
them-
no, it's
a lot of
Gemara's
the
telling you
women
no,
don't
it's
make-
not that it's not that's life. There's certain ways, there's certain grounds for divorce. It's exactly
Yeah.
what the Gemara is telling you.
A
That's
lot of
what
the
I don't
women don't. A
understand.
lot of the women don't affect his life.
Right. None of this.
I'm saying if she has a scar on her leg, I'm saying that affects his life.
Right. I'm saying that's a pshat in this Gemara. That's the lesson we have to learn out from this Gemara. But etzem is that let's not.
I'm saying, didn't we
fool
learn that
ourselves
if it affects his life, it doesn't
looks
make a difference
don't
either?
make one saying. No, I'm saying let's not fool ourselves that attractiveness is crazy and that shmiras einayim is also important. But whatever. These things affect men. What are you saying, Naftali?
But we're saying we learned about affecting his life for sure doesn't make a difference. So again, we'll go back to the Meiser. She doesn't have to take off Meiser and you can't divorce her.
Correct.
It's a whole different parameter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, are they gonna have to put on their shidduch resume some of these facts to eliminate
Well,
the
that's
possibility?
right. So that is the question.
Naftali,
I'm listening, I'm here.
it's the fact that he doesn't take off mice, like the Gemara said he could take off his own. If she has a mum, He can't look at his wife anymore. That's worse than taking off mice. He can't look at her.
No, I understand. I'm just saying you can't go ahead and say affecting, not affecting the Gemara is a different parameter. And that's what we have to just take.
No, these parameters are it's
Anyway.
fine. So the Gemara says, is it possible that a woman could be so large? So in Damar Rabba Bar Chana, Ani Reisi Arvia Achas, I once saw an Arab woman, Shefshila Dadeh La'Achareh, that she took her breasts and she swung it behind her, and she was able to nurse her son. I have no idea what that means either, but yeah, I could just, the only thing I will say, and this you cannot make up, and I say this, what are the chances that when I learned this Gemara 2 days ago, somebody asked me a shaila about breast reduction surgery? I believe Guzma, almost to the minute that I was learning the sugya, whatever started learning it, I got that shaila. So that was a little interesting. So then that's mechazek me that I'm learning Daf Yomi is the right.
You should publicize that story like with Reb Chaim and the grasshopper.
Chaim only got a grasshopper.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you said reduction. This is enlargement.
No, this is
you need a reduction if you can swing them around your back.
It might not be exactly the same, okay?
It's not exactly.
This would go
Pretty
back
close.
to the Gemara that says if the doctor fixes her, it's not going to help.
Well, that's the shaila, right? If those would a breast reduction, would it help? Would it help? But anyway, so then Stam, there's an interesting thing here too. Rabba Bar Bar Chana was watching an Arab woman nurse, right? And he was moided to this.
He didn't say he was watching. He said he.
Well, he saw it.
I mean, nowadays you'd get arrested.
And right, well, she must
No,
have
it was research for the Gemara.
That's why I'm saying that it's different mitzvahs than every woman nursed and every baby nursed them.
Well, this right. Right. But this wasn't Arab though. This wasn't a yid.
Yeah. By the way, the law is that women can nurse on the subway uncovered.
Right, I know that, Avi. That's what I'm saying. In time of the Gemara for Zichra, that's what I'm saying.
Right. But so the Pshas Shashar Mitzion of Halacha, I heard it from Rabbi Razna. I didn't look it up yet. I meant to. Goes through a whole thing where just Re'iyah is not called histaklus. Histaklus by women is not allowed. Staring at women. If he happened to be walking down the street and he noticed an Arab woman breastfeeding like that, then he didn't do any isser. That happened to have been in his sight lines. To go look again, that would be a problem. Stam to see is not a problem, no, because a lot of men have this issue. Like you look at women when they talk, you don't look. You're allowed to as long as you're not staring at them. If that happens to be something that you have to do, then that's what you have to do.
Wasn't Rabbi Yochanan who made it?
Like what you say when you're looking hard enough to see if it's really a lace top or not.
Correct.
Correct. Not hers.
That's not called just seeing. Yeah. No, Rabbi Yochanan didn't look at the women. He was outside the mikveh. He didn't look at the women.
Wasn't there also when he bumped? He wasn't a Karen Zavis that he.
Yeah, you mean the Gemara and Avodah Zarah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Same situation that he kind of stumbled on the situation.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all right. Avi, you can log off now.
Okay.
I mean, there's one more interesting Gemara, but not of that variety. The famous Gemara here. For those that have kids learning in Eretz Yisrael, living in Eretz Yisrael, this is a major Gemara, right? Ulatzion Yeyomer, right? It's a pasuk in Tehillim, right? And Tzion, it should say that Tzion ish ve'ish yulad ba v'hu yichaynaneh elyon, right? This man and this man was born in Eretz Yisrael, and it's going to be established like on the aliens and the upper things. So Amar Maisha, Parbrei de Rishu ben Levi, Echad Anoilad Ba. This applies to somebody who was born in Eretz Yisrael. Ve'echad hametzapeh l'roisa, and this applies even to somebody who wants to live in Eretz Yisrael. Meaning the double lashon in the pasuk that says Ish ve'ish yulad ba is referring to a man who's actually living there and somebody who's not living there but really wants to live there, right? Which is a big chizuk for us who don't live in Eretz Yisrael, that we're almost the equivalent of the people living in Eretz Yisrael, as long as we want to live in Eretz Yisrael. If we don't want to live in Eretz Yisrael, then it doesn't apply to us. But if we do want to, then we're equal. But Abaya says no. Amar Abaya, well, he doesn't say no, but he says Amar Abaya, b'chad minayu adif kitrei minon. One of Eretz Yisrael is
What would be the chiddush? Machshavas k'maisa.
I don't know if this is considered machshava. I'm saying I don't know, because you'd have to have a good excuse why you're not in Eretz Yisrael, right? Okay, I don't know. So Amar Abai, v'chad minayu adav k'trei minon. One Israeli is better than two of us. Yeah. So that's meaning because Rashi says because they're smarter and they're sharper, which I think we could all agree with. Right. So he also says, oh, Ben Yoyada, which is interesting. What's the ratio 1 to 2? He says, you see that in Eretz Yisrael, they keep 1 day Yom Tif, and in Chutz La'aretz, we have to keep 2 days Yom Tif. Why? Because whatever it takes Israelis 1 day takes us 2 days. That's what the Gemara, that's what the Ben Yoyada says the pshat in this. And Omar Rava, v'chad minan ki salak la'asam, but when one of us goes up to Eretz Yisrael, adav k'trei minayu, he's better than 2 Israelis. When Rav Yirmiyah was learning in Babel, he didn't even understand what the Rabbanon was saying. But when he went there to Eretz Yisrael, he called us Bavliim who were stupid. Meaning he got so smart that he got smarter than the Bavliim. Which again, if you know about the whole chinuch systems in American Eretz Yisrael, so it's known that in Eretz Yisrael they're way ahead of the Americans, at least until their high teenage years. And any Americans I don't mean left off Americans, but it seems like the Americans catch up in some. I don't know if they're still on that level, but they do catch up a little bit. Fine. Okay, so that's the interesting part of the Gemara. Now we continue with the woman. So Zok the Mishna. So now the question that's going to be here, and now we get into lots of chazakas, right? Which is basically when she gets a mum. So depending on when they find the mum, that's who's going to have to prove where the mum, when the mum came. And this comes up a lot, especially with in kashrus issues, right? Like Lamasha with the manalapin, right? So how far back can we say that this guy maybe was bringing tray food into the restaurant? And I mean, how far back do we backdate it? Right? If somebody was there 6 months ago, does that mean that they have to kasha their kitchen or not? Right? So that's that all plays into chazakas. How long do you backdate? Right. So here we're going to see that there's a difference between when they find the mum on the girl.
Could you bring in like an outside issue like COVID? Maybe not go back and he lost business and that's why he did it?
So we're going to have to see that there's all sorts of different chazakas of how to, and you have to try and figure out which chazakas are stronger. And when one chazaka competes against another chazaka, and then you have to weigh it all. So you could just imagine that it becomes complicated. So Hayuba Mumin, if she had Mumin, but she's still in her father's house, meaning when they were engaged, he found out about these Mumin, right? And now he says, I'm not getting married to her. So the father says, well, she got the Mumin after you got engaged, and it's your issue. And he says, no, these Mumin were there before we got engaged, and it's your issue, and I want my Kedushin money back, right? Which we had a similar machlokes in the beginning of the Septa. If he discovers that she was raped on the wedding night, he discovers she was raped. She says, yeah, I was raped, but after we got engaged, so it's your problem. And he says, no, you're not. You were raped before we got engaged, so therefore it's your problem, right? So it's going to be totally each one saying that the engagement happened, the mum happened. The man is saying the mum happened before they were engaged, and therefore it's a mekach tois, and he wants back his money. And the father is saying, no, it happened after they got engaged, and it's your problem. So what do you do? So the Mishna says, the burden of proof is on the father. And he has to prove that these women came after they got engaged. And his field got soaked, meaning the man's field got soaked. Just like somebody could buy a field and then there's a flood and his whole field is ruined. That's his tough luck. So the same thing here. After she got engaged, she got this mum. But once she got married, so then the tables turned. meaning he didn't realize the mum until after they were married. So then the tables turn, and about right, the husband has to bring the proof. Until before she got engaged, she had these women. And that's a mekach. That's where Rameir says. The Rameir basically says that whenever the mum is found, that's when we consider it. That's when we consider it happened, and you have to prove otherwise. So if she was engaged, right? So then it's the burden of proof is going to be on the father. And if it happened after the marriage, then it's going to be the burden of proof is going to be on the husband, right? When you think about it, like, what's the svara? The problem with these chazakas is you can't really think about it al pi svara, right? Because what do you mean? How do you know when it came? You have no idea when it came. I mean, obviously you have to try and prove it, but why does one have to prove and one not have to prove, right? Okay, we'll see in the Gemara. But Chachamim and Chachamim disagree. He said they say this is all talking about women that are on the hidden parts of the body, right? So therefore he didn't know about it. But if women that are open, then he cannot say anything. Why? Because he should have known about it. Man, if she has a mum on her head, like we were learning before, if she has a mole on her forehead, he should have known about it. He can't complain about it after he's married. How did he not see it? This is what Peretz was referring to before. If there's a bathhouse in that city, then he can't even complain about women that are hidden. Why? Because he can have his relatives check her out. Right? When he's dating, and this is another one, try this. I mean, if we have a controversy about getting a picture of a girl on the date, try this one. What he's trying to get his relatives to spy on her in the swimming pool or in the bathhouse to see if she has any woman. To the point that the Chachamim are saying that if he had relatives or contacts in the neighborhood, then he should have made sure to spy on her. And if he didn't, it's his fault, and he cannot get divorced. At least he can't get divorced without a ksuba. Yeah, fine. So again, the Mishnah is saying that depending on when you find the mum, that's when you're going to have the problem of who has to prove it. So the Gemara asks, the reason why the husband has to pay for the ksuba is because the father brought a raya that the woman happened after they were engaged. Mashma, if the father did not bring a proof, right? Let's say the father said, I can't prove it. So then the Baal Mehemen, the Baal is believed, and they can get divorced, and he doesn't have to pay the ksuba. So money, who's that like? That's like Rabbi Yehoshua. Rabbi Yehoshua, he the Amar loy mipia anuchayim. Because Rabbi Yehoshua said, again, going way back to the beginning of the Masechta, that when a woman, then the husband says the woman was not a basula, and she says, I was raped before we got engaged, right? I'm sorry, I was raped. The woman says I was raped after we got engaged. Rabbi Yehoshua says she's not believed because we don't believe her. Now it's not because we don't believe the woman over the man. That's not what Rabbi Yehoshua is saying. What Rabbi Yehoshua is saying is that we have to go with the chazaka, right? And the chazaka is that right now she is not a basula. So we have to assume that happened, that she had that chazaka from before, right? And meaning he's saying that she has a cheskes haguf. Yeah, so she has a cheskes haguf. So the chazaka of the guf is that she was a basula, right? And now that chazaka could have possibly changed because she no longer is a basula, right? Yeah, so we'll see as the Gemara goes through to get this clear. Aim a sefer, but what about the sefer? If she goes into the rishus of the Baal, right, meaning they had the marriage, and then Habal Tzarech Lahav, meaning the second stage of the marriage, the suin. Habal Tzarech Lahavi Raya, the husband has to bring a raya that she became she had a balmum before they were engaged. Time of the Maisi Habal Raya. So the only reason why he's believed because he brings a raya, but if the Baal does not bring a proof, and then the father's believed. What's a pshat? That has to be like Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel says she is believed to say that the rape happened after they were engaged, right? So which one are we going with? Yeah. So meaning we have a stira in the chazakas. So because Rabbi Gamliel is saying the chazaka of her guf is better than the chazaka of money. Meaning Rabbi Yehoshua is saying that she's not believed because the chazaka is the money is by the husband. The husband says, I don't want to pay the ksuba, right? So you already have two chazakas. I should have explained this a little better before. Basically, you have a chazaka right now that she's a ba'ula. You also have a chazaka but you have a cheskas haguf, right? That she was a basula her whole life, right? And when did she lose her basulim? Right now, whenever he found it, or right before he found it. So you have the chazaka of the money says that the husband gets to keep his money. The chazaka of the guf says that she was a basula until proven otherwise. So which one do you go with? So Rav Gamliel says you go with the chazaka of the guf. That's stronger, and therefore she was a psula until it was discovered otherwise. And Rabbi Yehoshua says no, the chazaka of the money is more important. So it's a stira. So Rabbi Elazar Tavra can either mean a shavua, Taisa says, or Rashi seems to say it's a stira. So Misha Shanazu, La Shanazu. Yes, that's true. The Reisha and the Seifa are not the same. The Reisha is Rabbi Yehoshua and the Seifa is Rabbi Gamliel. So Amar Rabba. Rabba says, like Tema, Rabbi Yehoshua, like also Basa Chazak of the Guf Cloud. Don't think that Rabbi Yehoshua doesn't go with the Chazak of the Guf. Again, the Chazak of the Guf is that a Guf is born as a Basula. When we find out she's not a Basula, we assume that happened at the latest time possible. So till then, would be a Chazak of the Guf. Meaning, let's say, just bring it to Manalapin, we would say that there's a Chazaka that up until the guy was caught, he was not buying treifa chicken, right? Because the chazaka was that it was all kosher. The chazaka only gets broken once it changed. Again, I'm not saying halacha l'maisa here. I'm just saying these are the shilas that come up, right? So here too, he's saying the chazaka was she has a chazaka guf, right? So don't think that Rabbi Yehoshua doesn't care about the chazaka guf. Ela kiloi also Rabbi Yehoshua bas chazaka the gufa. When does Rabbi Yehoshua not care about the chazaka of the guf that she should have been a basula until proven otherwise? That's heichad diika chazaka de b'mayna. That's where. When he doesn't go with the guf is when there's a chazak of the mammon against it, right? The chazak of the mammon says that the money is by the husband and he doesn't want to pay it. Aval heicha, the leka chazak of the mammon, but let's say there's no chazak of money, right? Also Rabbi Yehoshua bas chazak of the gufa, then Rabbi Yehoshua for sure will go with the chazak of the guf, right? So which Taisus has an interesting kasha. What do you mean? If the only chazaka you have is the chazaka of the guf, then of course you're going to go with that chazaka. Right? Of course you're going to go with that chazaka. So Taisus says there's another chazaka there, a chazaka of Pnuya, right? A chazaka that she's a single girl. Okay, whatever it is, you have to juggle all these chazakas. Yeah, Titania, how do we know that Rabbi Yehoshua does go with chazaka? And so we have a tzaras. In Baheres, called the Museir Lavan. So a Baheres is like a tzaras, it's a white spot. So if it grows white hair out of it, then it becomes tzaras. So if there's a beheres before the white hair, then tame, then it's tzaras. But if there's white hair first and then the spot comes, then it's tar. Suffix. Let's say it's a suffix, so it's tame. Rabbi Yehoshua Amar Keya. Rabbi Yehoshua says it's weak. My Keya, what did he mean by that? Amar Rabba. So Rabba said Keya tar. A Keya means that it's tar. So you see, what's a pshat in tar? Because the Rabbi Yehoshua is saying that a person has a chazaka that they don't have tzaras. So when we're not sure if this thing is tzaras or not, so we go with the chazaka. And the chazaka is that a woman, that a man, whoever it is, doesn't have tzaras. So until you know for sure that it's tzaras, you're fine. So you see that goes with the chazaka of the guf. Right? Okay, so that's the first pshat. That's first pshat in the Gemara. Of that it's a machlokes in the Mishna. One opinion, Rabbi Yehoshua says you go with the chazaka of the body. You go with the chazaka of the money over the chazaka of the body. And Rabbi Gamliel says you go with the chazaka of the body over the chazaka of the money. That's the first pshat. Rava says no. It's everybody goes like Rabbi Gamliel, and then we go with the chazaka of the body. Reisha kan nimtzu v'kan hoyu. A big klal and these type of things, which is wherever you found the iser, that's where it is. That's when it happened. Right? So meaning if it was there, yeah, so basically what we're saying is that if she has a mum, then she had this mum the whole time. Right? So meaning that what that does is it takes the father's position, right? And it makes it shvach, right? Why? Because we say, hey, she has a mum right now, right? We're assuming that this mum was always here, right? That's what the Reish is going with that opinion, right? So therefore, it was, when did we find it? We found it when she was engaged. So therefore, you have to prove that it was there, some other time. Seifa nami kan nimtzu v'kan hoyu, right? The same thing in the Seifa, where they found the mum. That's when it happened. So therefore, it happened only after she got married. So therefore, it's his problem, right? So Seifa So again, Reisha kan nimtzu v'kan hoyu. The Reisha is talking about where it was found, that's where it was. And the Seifa also, kan nimtzu v'kan hoyu, meaning wherever you find it, that's what we go with. Say Abaya. So Abaya asked the Kasha, Nichnas l'Reshus Habal. So we said that if she goes into the Reshus Habal, meaning they get married, the second stage, Habal tzarich lavi raya, the Baal has to bring a raya that the mum was there from before. Sha'at shalei tesaras hayeh b'mumen elif, that before she got engaged, she had these mumen. And what he bought was a mekach tois. And it sounds like only if he can prove that she didn't have this move before they were engaged. But if he only proves that she had the mum after they were engaged, that's not enough. Why don't you say that where did they find the mum when she was engaged? Right? And they were there the whole time, even before the kedushin. Right? Why does he have to prove that it was there before the kedushin? It should have been there the whole time. No, the reason why he has to prove that it was from when she was engaged. Now we have thrown a different chazaka. This chazaka, a person doesn't drink from a cup unless he first looks at the cup, right? Which means the man is not going to be married to a woman unless he first checks her out. And this guy must have seen her, and he was mafayas, meaning before he did the second stage of the marriage, he saw her, and he must have been happy. So therefore, he's stuck married to her unless he could prove that she didn't have any of these women from before. Where it says, that's the case, actually, tesaras nami. So then, even before she was engaged, right? Elamrina. So what must it be? Chazaka and other mefayis, but mumin must be that a person does not get appeased with mumin. So hachanami chazaka and other mefayis, but mumin says then here too a person is not going to be mefayis but mumin. All right, so he could say that I did marry her because I thought I'd be able to hack it, but I can't hack it. Ella. So we're going to say no. A different shot. Ella mission is arsa. The reason why that the husband has to prove that the woman came after she was that she has to prove that the woman came before they were engaged. Mishum deika tarti, because you have tarti chazaka, because you have two chazakas that back her up. Hemer guf al cheskasa. The guf is in the chazaka that it was born without a mum. The chazaka ain't adam shaisa b'kaisa and came by. And there's also chazaka that no man is getting married until he checks out the wife. And he saw, and he was appeased, and now he's just changing his mind, which he can't do. So Gemara says, "My Amrit, what are you going to say? Chazaka ain't other mefayis for woman." So you're going to say no. The chazaka is that a person is not satisfied with woman, and he's going to give up. Havi. So we want to go on top of it. It says Havi chadav makotarti. That's still only one chazaka against two chazakas, meaning there's a chazaka that he's not going to be able to be satisfied with her. Against two chazakas. One is the cheskas haguf, that she didn't have the mum until they were found, and chazaka that a man doesn't get married until he checks it out. And we're not going to say one chazaka overpowers two chazakas, right? But actually, tisaris, so that's if he found the mum after she got engaged. Actually, tisaris, but if he has edim that she did it before she was engaged, that the woman before she got engaged, then to put the guf on the chazaka, you can't say, because you have edim that they were mumin before they got engaged. So my ika. So what are you going to have for the other side? Chazaka nedarim shaisa b'kais elim kein vodka. The only chazaka you're going to have is that a person there's a chazaka that a man's not going to marry a woman until he checks her out. And this guy saw her and it was happy. Adarab chazaka ain't other mafayas woman. So chazaka that a man is not going to be satisfied with his woman of heaven. And we put the money on the chazaka. Right. So therefore, basically, the way Rava is explaining the case, right? It was Rava, right? Yeah, the way Rava is explaining the case is that it's all just based on chazakas, and depending on how many chazakas each side has, that's what the other side is going to have to prove. Okay, we have another minute or so of this, but we'll it got a little late here, so it's hard to understand. So we'll try and re-chaz it a little bit tomorrow.
Jacob, tomorrow's nice and short, it looks like.
Tomorrow was short, but yeah, then look the next stuff.
I saw.
And we also have to start maybe making up a little ground to make up
Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
Shkoyach.
All right, Shkoyach.
Good enough, everybody.
Jacob, you come to the chashuv tomorrow?
My comment of Adam coming to the, Be'ez Hashem,